Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of Toward Civilized World. We have learned from our last discussion about the status of women from a social and religious dimension that the rights and responsibilities of men and women are equal. But they're not necessarily identical because there is a difference in the makeup of the man and woman. The man and woman are not physiologically and psychologically the same. We're going to continue our discussion about women today. We're going to go through the woman in society, the situation of women in society. Starting our discussion, I welcome Professor Mimouni, welcome.
Sure.
Dr. Belghit, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Professor Mimouni, please, what are the rights of women in today's society?
You mean today's society in Islam?
Of course, as Muslims in a Muslim society.
Yes. Well, last session we mentioned extensively the moral dignity, the spiritual dimension of man and woman equal. And this is a reason why both men and women are concerned by al-istikhlaf, by vice-regency upon earth, and they are spiritual, coming from the same nafsin wahida, from the same soul. But this differentiation doesn't, this distribution of roles in some fields only are not a reason to discriminate women in our society, because a lot of people, they confuse between the traditions in a society, maybe in a patriarchal society, and Islam. Islam has liberated women. First of all, right to the life, yes, because this was threatened in the Jahiliyyah, in the Jahili ignorance period, by men who would bury their daughters. And we saw that recently in other societies for other reasons, when they made the reduction of procreation to one in one society, they buried their daughter, killed their daughters. And another thing is, but this rests from basic right to dignity, right to have as a person, legal, moral person, which has rights and has obligations, which was not existing before. As a legal person, who can engage in contracts, in bargaining, in trade, in education, who can engage herself in marriage, because one of the goals of mankind, to perpetuate mankind, the procreation, which is important in Islam. Then, as a subject, she can engage into contracts. She can engage in pursuing persons when she gets her rights. She's discriminated. Then this is the scope of some scopes of this, as we can see in the family. For example, when we are speaking about the family, here I have got the book of An Outline of Islamic Law by Dr. Sayyid Darsh. He was the Imam in the London Central Mosque in Hyde Park when I was a student in the 80s. And he wrote this book about this. Then, when you see the Quran and the Sunnah accompanies women in all her stages of life, as a daughter, before even as a child, girl, as a daughter, he's giving her rights over more than the boy. As when she's adolescent, when she marries, he tries to give her protections, guardianships upon her. Even when there is a problem in his marriage, when he's divorced, for example, he guarantees her every rights for guardianship, to have an allowance, to protect her children and so forth. And he goes to divorce unless, until the end, he makes reconciliation on his Surah Al-Baqarah. There are a lot of verses who threatens man. Beware, God is watching at you. If you make wrong to her, you prevent her to remarry. Then when you harm her, so always saying this. And he's in the Quran, in the Surah Al-Baqarah, أيضا, they are partners. First of all, they are partners in the family. They are partners who are partners in everything. Everything when they share in the living, in the house. And he's showing that you might, for example, divorce on a person, and God is making a lot of good. وَيَجْعَلُ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Then this is as a mother. You mentioned, for example, that the paradise is under the feet of the mother. It is a sentiment, an innate sentiment, fitri, ولكن he raises it up to the level of paradise and to the consideration to the woman, to the thing. In many things. Then when we can, she has the right to take office, any office, for example, hold any office, be it in the public sphere, in the private sphere, in the government sphere, you see, then there is no limit. Also, what is not complementary with her functions or her makeup, psychological makeup, we cannot put a stress upon her when she works in certain jobs or something like that.
Yes, thank you. Speaking about the woman's rights, how can we distinguish the difference between women in Muslim societies and in Western societies? Dr. Bilghait, if you may.
Maybe I start by what Professor has highlighted. Our vision about woman, we consider woman as one of the Almighty Allah bounties. Right? As a daughter, we know that one of Allah's bounties, when you are given a girl as a baby born, ni'mah min ni'amillah, Allah's bounty. Right? And the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, من رزق بأنثى وأحسن تربيتها كانت له حجابا من النار يوم القيامة. Whoever is given a daughter as a baby girl, right, and he has provided for her good education, right, she will be protecting him from the hellfire on the Day of Judgment. She will be protecting the parents.
Yes.
So I don't think that there is any. I don't think that there is any culture in the world or any civilizations where a girl is elevated at this level, right? And as a wife, we know that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, خيركم خيركم لأهله وأنا خيركم لأهلي. The best among you is the one who is best towards his wife, his family. And he said, I am the best among you towards my family, all right? So I don't think also that the Western civilization has such legislation, right? And we know that mother is in the highest stature and levels, right? Since we know that the paradise lies under her feet. And we know the statue of woman when the man asked the Prophet, من أحق الناس بحسن صحبتي? Who deserves my good relation? The Prophet said, Ummuka, your mother. Secondly, your mother. 3 times he repeated, your mother. Then he said, your father. So you see, I don't think that the Western civilization, where if we want to do a simple comparison, where a woman is misused as a product when they want to promote a soap, they put a picture of a woman. When they want to promote any product, even the car wheels, they put a picture of a woman.
Yes.
When they want to promote even some movies, action movies, they misuse a woman, a picture of a woman, right, to do the marketing, to sell those films or whatsoever.
Yes.
So you see that the statue of woman in the Western civilization is criticized even by the Western writers and thinkers. Professor Alexis Carrel, who is awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology, said in his book The Man is Unknown that every cell in the woman body talks that I am a woman. I am a woman. That means, as Professor said, we have to consider the differences, physiological differences, in the job we give to the woman, respecting her abilities and capabilities. We shouldn't, he said, even Professor Alexis Carrel said, our biggest mistake in the Western world is when we consider a woman as a woman in everything.
Yes.
So they have misused the woman, they used a kind of speculation, right? And that's when the Western civilization began to deviate from the right way towards destruction rather than construction.
Yes, thank you, Dr.
You're
Bilghit. Dr. Mimouni, how do social norms and cultural values shape the experience of women in Islamic society?
Well, we have to return maybe to history and to civilization, because in its different phases, according to the type of society where it is living, or she is living, or the family is living, there are norms that are established. Our norms are established by men according to different indicators. Religious is one of the elements. Another thing is traditions, cultural traditions. Another thing is the influences, maybe outside influences. Then the evolution of the status of women in our society is related with this. For example, when the Muslim the emergence or the emerging of the Islamic civilization, we saw that they were women could find her expression in many fields. Not say even in society. There were learners, ulama, alimat, people who were who knew sciences, maybe be it sciences, religious sciences or other sciences. There were educators. They were in trade at the time. There were no industry. There were trade and corporations and so forth. Then this is society. There were women who would ask Prophet ﷺ about questions. They were questioning him, and they were equivalent. They were alimat who taught future learned people that time. But we see that after that there were periods of decadency. At that time, at the period of decadency, even the fiqh, the religious legislation, was stood back and took some rights of the woman in the public service, in sciences, and there she was confined in the domestic sphere at that time, and the norms are evolving. But we see that when there was the fatra, the reformist period of the Nahda, the Renaissance. Yani, there were two types of Renaissance in the Muslim world. Yes. There was a modernist Renaissance who raised again the rights of women along certain conceptions, rights of women, and there was also reformists, Islamic reformists, with Muhammad Abdu, with Al-Afghani, and who returned back those rights to the woman. And the most biggest, the more important example in Algeria was in the 1930s, but nearly 100 years before, Sheikh bin Badis, who was a reformist, asked, and he claimed the parents to teach their daughters or to come to the school, the religious schools. Then this is an example how norms are manipulated or raised by the scholars of Islam. And we see that now there are norms in our societies. Norms are delineated by different conceptions. And sometimes women, the Algerian woman, the Muslim woman, is torn upon between different models of behavior. And this is a thing we have to analyze, be it by social sciences and also by ulama and by politicians, to set up the best situation in order to make harmony. This is the goal of Islam, harmony between men and women, no fighting, but in every settings, then it has to be by specialists to do this.
Thank you. Dr. Belghait, what's your comment on that, please?
I think since somebody accepts to be a Muslim means he has to submit himself towards the teachings of the Almighty Allah, to the revealed knowledge. The difference between a Muslim's life and a non-Muslim's life is that a Muslim takes his values from revealed knowledge, the revealed al-wahy, the revelation. It is sure there is a big difference between somebody who follows and applies the teachings and the values which sources are revealed by the Almighty Allah, the legislation of Islam. Yes. So since a woman accepts to be a Muslim, she should know that there are legislations which are made to protect her life. Because many people think, for example, that hijab, wearing a scarf, and is a kind of an imprisonment,
yes.
Right? A kind of prison, right? Or prison,
woman, yes.
Right? So we need to know that Islam has legislated hijab to protect a woman, because a woman in the sight of Islam, according to Islam, is a precious human being.
Yes.
Is a school. She is a school. الأم مدرسة إذا أعددت شعبا طيب الأعراق, as Hafid Ibrahim said in his poems. A mother is considered as a school, the first school for any one of us. الأم روض, mother, woman is a garden of virtue and righteousness, where the children learn virtue and righteousness and values from their mother, first of all. She is the first school. So, al-Umm Ustad, a professor, a teacher, the first teacher for all of us. So, that's why she is considered as the most precious creation, we can say, of Allah Ta'ala on the earth among the human beings, right? That's why hijab, for example, is not a kind of prison. It is a protection and she can behave freely. She is free to learn, as Professor mentioned, to teach, to work as a doctor, to educate the others, to teach the generations, and so on. She can do business, why not? Since she respects her values and these teachings, she is free to have a positive life and to contribute to build the Muslim society, right, with her own efforts and her own work, right? Because people think that woman always depends on her husband or a man or father or whatsoever. Even a father, as Professor said, when the hadith said, لا نكاح إلا بولي وصداق وشاهدي عدل, even when she will get married, she needs to refer to her father. This kind of reference doesn't mean a dictatorship.
Yes, of course.
Because a daughter, when she knows that her father is going to face challenges with her, is going to support her,
by her side,
to protect her, she will feel secure.
yes.
Even his son, I mean male children, they will feel secured at home because they know that their father is going to face any kind of problem they are going to face. So children at home in the family will feel secured. So these are the Islamic values, actually. These are the Islamic teachings in a Muslim family, and especially things which are related with woman education, right? Professor mentioned Imam Ibn Badis. Imam Ibn Badis is the one who mentioned about the education of women and the reform which should be provided for women. He said, المرأة إذا أردتم إصلاحها فارفعوا حجاب الجهل عن عقلها قبل أن ترفعوا حجاب الستر عن وجهها فإن بنات بجاية وقرطبة وبغداد تعلمنا وهن محجبات. If you want to provide a reformation for women, before you remove her hijab or her scarf, right? Or before she shows her beauty to the others, right? Better you remove ignorance from her mind, because the girls of Cordoba in Andalus, in the Islamic civilization, Baghdad and Béjaïa, the capital of the Hammadid state, right? He said their girls have learned, right, without removing their hijab, and they became knowledgeable women,
yes,
and successful women in their lives. We know that our scholars, as Professor highlighted some of the examples, our scholars learned from women. Al-Hafidh ibn Asakir, the famous historian of Damascus, he wrote Tarikh Dimashq, the history of Damascus, right? Learned from 80 women as teachers. 80 ثمانون مش 18 80 امرأة. الحافظ ابن حجر العسقلاني, who wrote فتح الباري شرح صحيح البخاري in 25 years, you refer to the book itself, you will find his women teachers, right? So we shouldn't underestimate the role of woman. If she has knowledge and good education and instruction, actually she will really contribute positively with her brother or her husband or her parents to develop the Muslim society.
Thank you, Dr. Brit. Dr. Mimouni, please, in brief minutes, can you please tell us about how does different interpretation of Islamic texts and traditions impact women's rights? In brief minutes, please.
Well, we have to know there are different readings by fuqaha, but even society is influencing. For example, I would compare. There is a point important. I wanted to mention it, that Islam is giving guarantee to women. It's guaranteed to women on protection according to her nature. But what is the process of giving rights to the woman in the West? It has taken an economic, social, even political. It's not complete process. It was a process, but it has diverted to another point, which has deprived women here, because morally she is not secure. Family is completely disrupted. Then she has not. They are making certain rights of rejoicing, even sexual rights over other rights, not included in the family. This is the status of women now for the Islamics. There are tensions between traditionalists and, let's say, modernists. But we have to trace a way among in middle of these two extremes, because the Islam is the society of the Ummah of Wasata, of the middle. And we have in the text of Islamic states, Islamic rules, we have a lot of states. Last point, maybe, it is that most of the converts in Islam, in Europe, in the West, are women. Why? If it is not that they are providing spiritual, social guarantees for the woman.
Thank you, Professor Mimouni. And with that, we have arrived to the end of today's discussion. See you next time. Thank you.